English is the official language of this conference. For interpretation, please set your device to channel number 1 for English, number 2 for Korean. 동시 통역이 필요하신 분께서는 앞에 놓인 수신기 채널을 영어는 1번, 한국어는 2번으로 맞춰주시기 바랍니다. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Journalist Conference 2023. My name is Jung Min-ho, staff writer at the Korea Times and head of the International Relations Department at the Journalists Association of Korea. I will be the moderator for this session. The subject of this session is leadership of the digital transformation and the future of journalism. New technologies such as smartphones have changed not only the way the news is consumed, but also how it is generated. Emerging technologies such as AI suggest that another big wave of change may be in the making. This has raised expectations as well as concerns over the news industry and the media's roles in it. In the face of such profound challenges, leadership in newsroom is critical. In this session, we are going to talk about what it means to be a leader in today's media company as we listen to and learn from different perspectives and cases in different parts of the world. First of all, let me introduce today's speaker. From my right, Ms. Ryu Hyun-jung, head of the digital planning team at Joseon-ilbo in Korea. Mr. Jo Ning, deputy chief editor of the News Media Center at Xinhua News Agency of China. Ms. Thais Senu, reporter from France 24. Ms. Anupa Kurain Mershad, senior digital content planning editor at the Gulf News in UAE. And Mr. Lee Ka-hyuk, a reporter from JTBC in Korea. Today's presentations will be conducted in this order. After all the presentations are given, we will have a group discussion. If you have any questions or comments during the presentations, please leave your message in the WhatsApp group chat. We will get to the questions at the upcoming group discussion. Now let's begin with our first speaker, Ms. Ryu Hyun-jung from Joseon-ilbo. Please, when you're ready, yes.
반갑습니다. 방금 소개받은 류현정이라고 합니다. 지금 영어가 아닌 한국어로 할 예정이기 때문에 그리고 지금 제가 프린트된 거는 딥L과 오픈챗 GPT를 통해서 제가 준비한 원고를 번역을 했습니다. 아마 완벽하지 않을 거기 때문에 제가 이제 말하는 거를 동시통역자가 잘 번역해 주실 거라고 생각을 합니다. 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 세계 기자대회 2023년이 열리는 이곳이 서울 광화문입니다. 7년 전 프로 바둑기사 이세돌과 인공지능 알파고가 세기의 대전을 벌였던 그 역사적인 장소가 바로 이곳입니다. 저는 당시 시합을 현장 취재하는 기자였고, 그리고 오랫동안 IT 분야를 취재한 기자에게도 이세돌 프로의 첫 경기 패배는 충격으로 다가왔습니다. 구글 알파고의 승리를 예측했음에도 불구하고 기자는 마치 인류 전체가 기계에 패배한 듯이 고개를 떨구었고 태어난 지 10개월 된 딸을 떠올렸습니다. 우리 딸은 평생을 인공지능과 더불어 살아가겠구나. 그런데 챗 GPT를 경험한 우리 모두는 압니다. 인공지능과 더불어 살아가는 것은 올해 7살이 된 제 딸의 문제가 아니라 바로 우리가 현재 전체 인류가 직면한 새로운 과제라는 것을 말입니다. 디지털 컴퓨터의 아버지라고 불리우는 클로드 세년이 메시지를 수학적으로 처리하는 방법을 고안한 지 단 80여 년 만에 인류는 인간의 육체를 대신 기계가 해주는 제1기계 시대를 지나서 인간의 정신노동을 기계가 대신해주는 제2의 기계 시대에 진입하고 있습니다. 오늘날 디지털 전환 시대의 리더십과 저널리즘의 미래는 인공지능 대전환 시대의 디지털 리더십과 저널리즘의 미래라고 해도 과언이 아닙니다. 바둑이라는 특수한 영역에서 잘하는 인공지능이 아니라 인간이 고군분투해온 거의 모든 영역에서 출중한 실력을 보여주는 범용 인공지능이 우리 곁에 성큼 다가왔고 그 진화의 속도는 빨라지고 있습니다. 정보기술을 취재한 기자로서 또 회사에서 디지털 전략을 맡은 한 사람으로서 인류 역사의 변곡점을 직접 관찰하고 체험하고 적응하는 것은 무척 떨리고 또 막중한 책임을 느끼게 하는 일입니다. 이 대전환기의 리더십은 첫째, 미디어 업계의 집요한 혁신을 필요로 합니다. 둘째, 그 어느 때보다 엄중해진 저널리스트로서의 본질적인 책무가 요구됩니다. 바로 여기에 저널리즘의 미래도 있다고 생각합니다. 이제 미디어 업계의 혁신은 빠른 실행, 기자, 개발자, 디자이너 간의 협업, 효율적인 데이터베이스 관리라는 디지털 기업의 일반적인 성공 방정식을 답습하는 수준을 넘어서야 합니다. 미디어는 인공지능을 과감하게 활용해서 업무를 개선하고 단순한 글쓰기를 비롯해 각종 잡무를과 유통의 변화를 만드는 동인이었습니다. 인공지능 기술이 가져올 변화는 종교혁명과 근대 국가의 출현으로 이어진 인쇄혁명의 그 이상일 것입니다. 스토리 제작과 유통, 비즈니스 모델에 중대한 변화가 일어날 것이 분명합니다. 제가 존경하는 한 저널리스트는 이번 범용 AI 등장으로 모든 웹사이트는 다시 설계되어야 할 것이라고 말했습니다. 인공지능 시대에 저널리스트의 본질적인 책무는 실로 막중합니다. 발렌시아가 패딩 입은 교황, 체포된 것처럼 보이는 트럼프 대통령, 루이비통 패션쇼에 등장한 저커버크 메타 CEO 등 이미 인공지능을 활용한 가짜 뉴스가 온라인에서 무차별적으로 확산하고 있습니다. 인공지능이 필연적으로 가져올 가짜 뉴스의 홍수 속에서 훌륭한 저널리스트들이 만들 팩트 기반의 저널리즘은 인류를 보호할 최후의 보루이자 높은 가치 그 자체가 될 것입니다. 팩트 기반의 뉴스가 없다면 인공지능이 내뱉은 말은 가짜에 가짜를 곱한 쓰레기장에 불과하다는 것을 우리는 모두 알고 있습니다. 저널리스트들은 인류 실존과 기술의 관계에 대해서 폭넓게 취재하고 그것을 기사화해야 합니다. 인공지능 때문에 수많은 일자리가 사라지고 또 생겨날 것입니다. 20세기 산업화 시대에 만든 교과 과정은 쓸모없게 되어서 아이들을 키우는 부모의 걱정이 커져갈 것입니다. 복지 정책의 대수술이 필요할 수도 있고 사이버 대전 부상 때문에 국방의 범위가 크게 넓어질 수도 있습니다. 인공지능이 놀라운 과학적 발견을 이어가는데 낡은 교재가 발목을 잡는 일도 빈번하게 일어날 것입니다. 저널리스트가 취재할 영역이 폭발적으로 증가하고 있다는 뜻입니다. 최근 파이낸셜 타임스가 인공지능 담당 에디터를 신설한 것은 그래서 주목할 만한 일입니다. 저널리스트의 권력에 대한 감시는 여전히 중요합니다. 정치 권력이든 사회 권력이든 플랫폼 권력이든 권력이 입력 데이터를 조작하면 인공지능도 조작된 데이터를 기반으로 우리한테 다가올 것입니다. 독재자와 테러리스트들이 교묘하게 인공지능을 악용할 수도 있습니다. 샘 몰트만 오픈 AI CEO는 핵 전쟁의 새벽이 왔다라는 표현으로 인공지능이 가져올 최악의 시나리오에 대해서도 경고하였습니다. 지금 우리에게 역사의 중대한 기로에 서 있는 인류 전체에게 무엇보다 필요한 것은 전방위적인 대화입니다. 윤리학자, 컴퓨터 과학자, 법학자, 심리학자, 역사학자, 교육학자, 서로 다른 분야에 있는 사람들 간의 대화를 이끌고 대중들에게 그들의 생각을 소개하고 안전한 인공지능을 위한 프로토콜을 만드는데 저널리스트들의 역할이 아무리 강조해도 지나치지 않다고 할 수 있습니다. 전 세계 미디어가 지금 이 장소처럼 국제적으로 협력하는 것도 중요합니다. 전 지구적, 전 인류적 문제를 다루는 저널리스트들이 세계의 지혜를 한데 모으고 서로 도와주어야 합니다. 인공지능의 발전으로 언어의 장벽이 사라지는 세상이기 때문에 더욱 충분히 가능한 일입니다. 또 인공지능을 주도하는 빅테크 기업들이 저널리스트가 만든 콘텐츠에 대한 정당한 대가를 제공하도록 요구하는데도 미디어가 서로 협력을 해야 합니다. 미디어는 가짜뉴스 홍수 시대의 마지막 보루를 지키기 위해 저널리즘 기금을 확보하는데도 힘을 쏟아야 합니다. 이것은 저널리스트를 위한 게 아니라 인류를 위한 규범을 만드는 과정입니다. 범용 인공지능은 인류의 모든 업무를 획기적으로 바꿔놓을 것이고 인류가 이제껏 달성할 수 없었던 효율과 통찰의 세계로 안내할 것입니다. 기후변화 등 인류가 해결해야 할 복잡하다는 문제를 탐구하는 데 필요한 시간도 획기적으로 줄어들 것입니다. 동시에 2,000여 명이 넘는 석학과 컴퓨터 대가들이 강력한 인공지능 시스템에 대한 훈련을 최소 6개월 동안 중단하자고 한 긴급 제안을 보여주듯이 범용 인공지능은 인류가 오랜 세월에 걸쳐 정립해왔던 질서를 파괴하며 모두를 디스토피아의 세계로 내몰 수도 있습니다. 인류의 운명은 결코 정해진 것이 아니라 우리 모두가 함께 만들어가는 것입니다. 미국 3대 대통령 토머스 제퍼슨이 언론 없는 정부와 정부 없는 언론 중에서 선택을 하려면 주저없이 정부 없는 언론을 택하겠다고 말했습니다. 현대 민주주의 설계자에게 언론 없는 범용 인공지능과 범용 인공지능 없는 언론을 둘 중 하나를 택하라고 하면 역시 그들은 후자를 택할 것입니다. 언론 없는 범용 인공지능이야말로 인류가 기계에 진짜 패하는 디스토피아의 길이기 때문입니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you for the excellent presentation. Our next speaker is Mr. Ning Zhou from Shinhan News Agency.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the Journalists Association of Korea for organizing this grand event for journalists worldwide and providing us with a platform for free expression and communication. I'm delighted to share a brief presentation on Xinhua News Agency on mobile or the smartphone. In Beijing, China, there is an ancient mysterious city axis that has heard the morning bell and evening drum of the bell and drum towers and seen the red walls and flying snow of the forbidden city. In the past, the next one. Next. Okay. The Beijing city axis but now, no matter where you are, you can experience the grandeur and elegance of the Beijing city axis by simply interacting with Xinhua News Agency's application, a smart digital news product called Digital City Axis. It aims to use new technological such as big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and blockchain, knowledge graphs, and new creative industries to explore the historical and cultural connotations of the Beijing city axis and tell the story of China's commitment to digital protection and the inheritance of cultural heritage. Innovation, and development are the themes of the cultural development of major media outlets in China. Xinhua News Agency now is striving for making good use of the benefits of information technology and mobile internet, integrate awareness throughout the entire news reporting process, and promote the perfect integration of content, technology, inspiration, and aesthetics. Digital city access is precisely the direction that Tsinghua News Agency is taking to build an international first-class new media institution by creating mobile, technological, digital, and intelligent content experiences, relying on the advantages of Tsinghua News Agency on your mobile phone and strengthening the construction of independent terminals and social matrices. As an important carrier of Xinhua News Agency on mobile, Xinhua News Agency's Chinese language client has been downloaded 440 million times, ranking first among mainstream media in China. The English version of Xinhua News Agency client has been downloaded 15.6 million times, linking the news gathering and editoring capabilities of various departments of the headquarters and branches throughout the country and even globally. Based on this, Xinhua News Agency's client integrates resources, innovates communication agency business, builds self-controlled platforms, and leads with high-quality content. It presents all media digital products in forms such as text, images, charts, videos, H5s, AR, VR, MR, MB, and SVG, blah, 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 in a comprehensive manner. As the Army Group of Xinhua News Agency on mobile, Xinhua new media platforms, including the dedicated line, just as the Newsware, for new media with more than 500 clients, WeChat with approximately 40 million followers, named TikTok in China. Okay. WeChat Video with about 3.2 million followers, and the social media matrix on Bilibili, another platform in China, have a total coverage of over 1 billion users. Among them, Xinhua News Agency's official Weibo account is the first authoritative information source. Its WeChat public account ranks first among news-related public accounts of mainstream media in China. And Douyin and Kuaishou, another two platforms, have become top media accounts with high traffic and active followers among various short video platforms in China. The social media matrix overseas has a total of 270 million followers. As the live cavalry of Xinhua News Agency on mobile, we are building the Metaverse Industry Alliance and exploring a new paradigm for media integration and development. Through an effective alliance mechanism, we are consolidating the consensus and joint efforts of the manufacturing sector, media, academia, and technology companies, collaborating and integrating resources and providing effective support for the conception and incubation of related media, government, and enterprise projects. Taking innovation as the first driving force for development, we are making practical explorations to build a digital China. As the aggregation vanguard of Xinhua News Agency on mobile, the on-site cloud platform is an innovative communication service that is essentially a mobile application. Journalists can easily initiate an holographic live broadcast and efficiently collect live streams, text, images, and videos with just a mobile phone. Currently, on-site cloud has developed into China's most prominent news live broadcast platform and content aggregation production platform, with nearly 5,000 institutional users. The peak number of daily live broadcasts exceeds 1,000, and a large amount of reporting data flows into the headquarters. Xinhua News Agency has also established the Everyone Can Be Photographer social public governance platform, encouraging citizens to participate online. Users can easily reflect on local issues and hotspots related to grassroots social governance through their mobile phones, just like posting on Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp. The Asking the Journalist platform also focuses on journalists and excavates news behind the scenes as the main social function. Currently, over 1,000 Xinhua News Agency journalists participate in this platform, answering tens of thousands of domestic and international questions from netizens. From using the digital channels of Xinhua News Agency to live stream the national treasures at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding in Sichuan province, to connecting live to the Village BA rural basketball league in Guizhou province, China, which is as popular as the NBA in the United States. From the innovative data news reports 10 Dimensions of China to the rap song Heading to Spring developed with AIGC technology at this year's 2 sessions, Beijing in China. These diverse digital integrated news products greatly enhance the Xinhua News Agency's ability to report in an all-media format and showcase the real China to audiences at home and abroad. As Chinese journalists, we have always focused on strengthening the technological empowerment of news product production for the core business of Xinhua News Agency and are building a batch of news and communication application technology platforms with global influence. For example, we are constructing the China's first intelligent editorial department, which is essentially based on artificial intelligence technology and characterized by human-machine dialogue, to completely reconstruct news production in all aspects, processes, and systems. Additionally, we have launched China's first AI synthesis anchor, which is a lifelike digital news anchor that can work 24/7 simply by inputting text. We have also developed a political cartoon robot with independent intellectual property rights that can produce animated short video quickly and efficiently, much like creating a PowerPoint presentation. Previously, producing a 5 or 6 minute animated product would take at least 5 or 6 days, but with our technology, people with zero technical drawing skills can accomplish this in about 5 or 6 hours. Undoubtedly, ChatGPT, recently developed by OpenAI, has attracted widespread attention. Some experts and scholars have told me that ChatGPT has significant advantages in some areas, accelerating in terms of how artificial intelligence can become a useful infrastructure. First, by using large-scale universal training, it has analytical capabilities to encode, understand, store, process, and reason, and has developed to the cognitive level. If ChatGPT is connected to various business systems through APIs, all industries, software, digital systems, and the tool can be deeply integrated. Second, it is open to entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized enterprises for application capabilities, accelerating the rapid development of the industrial ecology. ChatGPT is a model of open source, cooperation, and crowdsourcing, and most of the training data it uses are open source data sets. Open source also promotes the common development of the entire industry rather than technology being monopolized by a few companies. In addition to these advantages, ChatGPT also has some hidden dangers. First, the authenticity of the content generated by artificial intelligence will need to be improved. It may generate some text that seems smooth and credible, but lack of effective verification mechanisms. And some content may even be fabricated. For example, when ChatGPT answers user questions in legal issues, it may invent some non-existent legal provisions. Second, the rapid iteration of artificial intelligence poses challenges to network security. For example, ChatGPT may lower the threshold for network attacks. It cannot carry out network attack itself, but can be used as an auxiliary tool to search for various attack codes. there is a possibility of increasing the risk of large-scale attacks such as power outage, oil cutoffs, and broadcasting interruptions on such a basic infrastructure that connects billions of product applications. As journalists, in the next stage, we need to continue to focus on the development and innovation of artificial intelligence in large-scale model technology, large-scale model research and storage, computing power, operating systems, and electronic data resource construction. On the other hand, we should cautiously apply the latest achievements of artificial intelligence in news production, and on the other hand, report the latest developments in artificial intelligence to the general audience. At the same time, we do not need to feel inferior and even fearful. We must recognize soberly that although the media landscape, public opinion, ecology, and the communication targets have undergone profound changes under the impact of new media and new technology, the rule that content is king remains unchanged. No matter how advanced or diverse the means of new technology are in the era of digital transformation. As a news journalist, in a breaking news situation, you have to go deep into the scene to obtain first-hand information promptly. In deep research, just as the laundry story, a career colleague sharing their story this morning, we have to vigorously conduct research and practice physical, visual, mental, and writing skills. We have to go deep into the fields and find our roots among the people to obtain the most accurate, authentic, and effective first-hand information rather than relying on second-hand information generated by artificial intelligence such as ChatGPT, and strive for the most fundamental attribute of news truthfulness. This is something that no iterative technology can replace. So finally, I wish this conference complete success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your informative presentation. Now let's hear from Ms. Tyson Yu from France 24.
안녕하세요 여러분. Hello everybody, and thank you for the Journalists Association of Korea for the invitation or organization. So I'm Thais Chen and I'm working for the Observers of France 24, which is media, state-owned international news media in France. So when I was asked about the future of journalism and newsroom leadership in the digital age, the first things that came to mind, like we already talked, was all the discussion around AI, whether they're going to replace us or not. But so I thought the clever things to do was maybe to ask ChatGPT to see what we will say. Don't worry, that's not the content of my presentation. But honestly, so I asked ChatGPT and he said kind of interesting stuff like, with the rise of social media and mobile devices, news organizations have to adapt and to practice to stay relevant or stuff like this. But honestly, it did lack texture and concrete example, and I think that's exactly what my point. That's exactly my point to say that that's what journalism is about: concreteness and reality, and that's where our newsroom must show their importance and leadership today. So, as we saw earlier, there are many ways to do it. I think that's an interesting thing to do would to talk about my newsroom, the Observers of France 24, because they gave an interesting, I think, solution to how to build information with social medias, and especially with the mass of information we have today. So, concretely, what are the Observers of France 24? The idea is that we work with what we call observers. It's people all over the globe. By the year, so it was created 10 years ago, and by the year we had like more than 5,000 observers. It's basically any citizens all over the world. They can reach us through our social medias or to our WhatsApp. And so our journalist team, which is composed of 10 to 12 journalists speaking in French, English, Arabic, and Persian, also Spanish. We have this big reach, and they can talk to when they see something happening in their country or like region. They will send us photos and videos that we will verify. So every day we have like dozens of messages on our WhatsApp, especially in Africa where we have a big reach, but it's really all over the world. But let me give you like a more concrete example I worked on a few weeks ago to just be clearer. So a few weeks ago we had many messages from on our WhatsApp from the Eastern Congo province of Ituri. So it was many videos and photos of very difficult to watch massacres of populations by a militia called Codeco. So when we have this kind of materials, what we do is first we talk with the people who send us the video to try to track down where these videos and photos coming from, to try to verify them. And then we activate our network of observers to try to have more information to cross-source the whole thing. But in this very case, so usually we will try to geolocalize the images, but in this very case it was very close-up photos and videos, so we can try to use like the language or the number they would use, but it was not enough. So what we did is that we also used open sources intelligence, like so OSINT, maybe you heard about it. So we would use, for instance, satellite imageries from the NASA to see, because some of the massacres they were fired in some of these massacres, so we will check if it's matched, for instance, the massacres and the fire that was reported, and it did. Also, so we will try to multiply the sources thanks to our network. And so what I mean with this example is that there are like a lot of videos and photos around on the social medias and stories to be told. And what matters as journalists is to show that, to help these people put this story outside the social media sphere, because it's not like, it's still very relevant stories that we access through social medias, but they need the help of a journalist to guide them and help them to do proper stories that are legitimate and seized as such. Sorry. And so, just to show you a little bit how we would do our storytelling, I just put like 2 examples we worked on because we're in South Korea. So I worked on these 2 examples about discrimination, people raising discrimination in South Korea, being a Muslim citizen that faced discrimination in Daegu because he wanted to build a mosque. Maybe the people covering Korea might have heard of this story. And the other is about an anti-feminist man trying to harassing feminists in South Korea. Also, I think it does ring a bell to some people here. So what we do to build this story, most of the time, we would ask them to report on the ground, but never when endanger them, but just show what like film themselves. For instance, it was supposed to be a video, but it didn't work. But actually, the man would show around some pig head that was placed in front of his mosque, and he will tell the story. So that's basically what we will do to try to cover from Paris these stories that we get through social medias. Okay, sorry, and also I wanted to say a few words about the challenges of fact-checking, because at The Observers we also do a lot of fact-checking as we verify many images. So we have a big experience when it comes to fact-checking, especially images. We are part of the IFCN, which is an international network of fact-checker. And our specialty is to use collaborative journalists to fact-check some content, a lot of content. And actually it does remind me what our colleague talked about earlier, Pavlovia, about local fact-checking, because thanks to our network that we gain, they are reliable by the year, and they are all over the world. So most of the time, we will try to ask them their help to verify some content. And I think that's also could be, wanted to mention this because with the challenges we talked earlier of the AI generated images, I think collaborative journalism could be a very interesting solution because, like for instance, here you can see images from the protest against the pension reforms in Paris. And so there were many AI generated images that happens to be fake, like one of the old men here. But also, a few weeks ago, I had to work on an image that was real and that was accused to be fake, so that's the one on the left. Here, on the left. And I think that was really talking that even real images were accused to be fake, and how we fact-checked it through collaborative journalism, asking a eyewitness to talk about what they saw. We also interviewed the photographer who took the photo, but I think that it's really alarming that even real images are accused to be fake, and I think that's the only way to maybe face this crisis of AI-generated images is maybe to be more to really impose our leadership as a newsroom and to really put this unquestionable stamp on images and show that, yeah, to reaffirm the legitimacy of journalists. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing up the interesting subject. Our next speaker is Miss Anupa Elizabeth Kureen Murshad from the UAE. Please, when you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for listening. Some of the points might seem repetitive because of the topic. I will try and get over them as quickly as possible. So coming back to AI, now when I was asked to do this presentation, I did an interesting exercise, which is I asked ChatGPT, what are the challenges newsrooms are facing? Now, this is with the knowledge that we all have that ChatGPT does not have information after 2021. So every information that's on ChatGPT is before 2021. And the challenges it brought forth seem to me that continue to exist today. And they are, one is the concept of digital evolution, which is accepting and adopting new technologies, trends, exploring new platforms, adapting to a moving reader base on them. It has been a constant process for over a decade now with no sign of deceleration. It is exhausting at some point. But this is where a newsroom's leadership comes into play. Its innovation is at the core of their strategy, and then all else will follow, which is what we did at Gulf News. Because the thing is, if I have seen this digital transformation process for a while now, and I remember I had my earliest memories of when we had Facebook. It started with Facebook, and there were many organizations which were against it then, and there were newsroom journalists who were for it, and they thought that it was going to take away from your readership. It's going to take away from revenue. Yes, it has taken away from revenue, but it has not taken away from readership. What it has done is it has actually given you referral traffic, and that is something Gulf News has used very effectively because we are now behind a digital paywall. Again, what's the reason for that? And that is the fundamental answer to this whole exercise, I feel, which is newsroom leadership. You have to have a newsroom that thinks like one, and it has to come from top down. You cannot have single isolated people who are stepping up and then everybody else falls off. Because in this day and age, especially with economic struggles, the need for new digital advertising revenue models, etc., when there is shortage of money in the newsroom, you need everybody to pull through. And for that, you need that sense of unanimity across the newsroom. So, and the other issue that we tend to deal with again was like fake news and misinformation, which continues to happen again through social media, WhatsApp, because the mob mentality of people does not seem to go away. And now, for some reason, there is a greater lack of trust in legacy media among readers and consumers. Whatever may be the reason, it could be politics, it could be some other reasons, but there is that aspect, and because of which they tend to seem to believe what they see on WhatsApp much faster than what's on the news. So that's also a tough struggle, and you have to fight against it. But does that mean we fall apart? No. Again, it's newsroom leadership. It's having a clear strategy that is sustained. It's not easy, it's difficult, it's taken a long time, but you can sustain it. And that's again something that we've done at Gulf News, because I remember again going back to the Facebook example, was that when we started, we have competitors in the market, but we are the market leaders in the Middle East when it comes to a digital platform and as a media house. So when we started, other people were looking at sensational headlines, etc. But we refused to do that. Sometimes we have even opted to delay putting up something maybe by a second or 2 seconds, because we wanted to be sure that it was fact-checked and accurate. And that, I think, is fundamental. And if you have that strategy that stems from top down, because if you have a management that does not realize that you have a newsroom that's trying to achieve that and then starts questioning you, saying, oh, why were you not first to market? And then asks you to pay the penalty for that, then that will not work. Which is why you need a newsroom that functions from the top down with a single thought and moves as a single body. And that is absolutely necessary. And the next point again, which I reached and raised earlier, which is financial sustainability. Now, programmatic pays pennies, display advertising is highly competitive, so new revenue models must be created. In the absence of sometimes transparency is not fully achieved, and this you do see in some cases of native advertising, and then you have advertisers who tell you, can you put up a post on social media but do not tag us? Just put it somewhere in the caption, etc. But the point is, you have to be transparent. You have to be consistent. And you have to teach your marketing and your ad sales department that they need to communicate this to the market. It is going to be difficult. Again, it's a singular thought process that functions top down, and it's a single message. A tough road, but that is what will help you sustain. And again, which brings me back to diversity in the newsroom. Now, diversity in the newsroom, especially where I come from, which is UAE, is we have over 200 plus nationalities in that country. Does that mean we can reflect all of that in the newsroom? It's very hard to achieve. So how do you compensate for that? Because people might say that that might bring in bias to your content. So how do you work against that? Is you strive towards equal representation. Again, for that, you need to have a newsroom that is led by leadership that is very clear on that ensures that everybody is represented as well as possible. And if not, we do bring in the readers or the reader perspective that's necessary for that. Now, coming back to the point everybody has raised, which is artificial intelligence. Now, when all these points were also thrown up by ChatGPT, but it missed out on one very important fact, and which actually came up from experience, which was copyright violation. We actually had a recent case where one of our competitors was actually going into our archives, picking up content, aggregating it, tweaking it, and putting it up there just enough so that we couldn't scream copyright violation. And it was a bad scenario for us because we are behind a paywall, which makes it much tougher. And all of this content that they were lifting is unique content that is fact-checked, researched, and something that we've built and which we actually ask people to pay for. We initially thought perhaps it's ChatGPT because they had said they were using AI in generating some content. And then we did a number of tests, we put it through the AI text classifier, and it was just plain old copying and pasting. But what it did bring to mind is that things like AI can raise these issues. It can raise the issues of plagiarism because at the end of the day, it's an aggregator. So do we see AI replacing human beings in the newsroom? Not possible. You will always need an editor, you will always need a journalist who who will go through the process, who will go through the facts and check everything through. Just like every other technology that came through, including the latest one, which is Metaverse, NFT, everything, blockchain technology, you need human beings there who will follow what needs to be done. So essentially, that is the gist of what I wanted to say, is that when it comes to artificial intelligence and to the technology and newsroom leadership, you need a newsroom that thinks like one, has a team that thinks as one, and which also means all the departments in the organization. It's not just the journalists. You need everybody, including the finance department, the HR, the ad sales, the marketing, the support systems, all of them to deliver single-handedly as a single body for one brand, for one sustainable process that takes it forward, where the focus is content and quality of content. So this is where I'd like to end, to use the Latin phrase, which is basically translates to one for all and all for one. And that to me is the core of a successful newsroom in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our last speaker is Mr. Lee Ga-yok from JTBC.
Hi, welcome to Seoul. Yeah, I can feel that in Korea they're saying there's no free lunch. So you know, so sleepy, but yeah, I know that there's no free lunch, right? Yeah, it is fact. So my name is Ga-yok. I'm a staff reporter at JTBC, which is a nationwide TV network in South Korea, based in Seoul. And I host the JTBC's morning news show every weekday. So tomorrow morning, please set the channel in your hotel room to JTBC and can see me. If you're late, rating is just stressful. So yeah. So I'd like to call you colleague and friend, right? Can I call you friends and colleague? Yeah, thank you. So we have a lot of similarities. We work for free speech, freedom of speech, press freedom, and we work for our society to make a better place and pursue facts. But the most important thing is, when we were young, we made a huge, terrible mistakes by being a journalist, right? Just kidding, yeah. So it was my critical, humorous point, but it doesn't work. Okay. So before I begin, let me tackle the title of the conference, Digital Transformation. So I searched a past media-related article, and it has been almost more than 10 years that appears in Korean media, the expression digital transformation. So I think it's too late to talk about digital transformation now, right? For example, the very first training course for our newcomers of JTBC is not the writing the reports and the on-the-spot broadcasting, but they learn how to produce and how to distribute the digital content timely and sustainably. So the digital is the main content for the newcomers training. Yeah, so for the new employees, digital is not a phase that they transform into, but this is the beginning and the end and everything in between this kind of media market situation. However, it is a reality that digital transformation is still a lively discussion issue, and digital is, for me and for you, is still very difficult to realize what is the digital and what is the digital transformation. And very difficult task with a long way to go, so I think you all agree about it. So let me briefly introduce the example of JTBC's mobile content. I cannot say for sure that the JTBC is the best example, but I'm proud to say that we are trying to do the best in the Korean market, Korean journalism field. So we mainly produce videos in short form and mid form. We are posting them on almost every social media out there to reach consumers and our audience. So first of all, the short form named Newsuk. This is some images of Newsuk. It means a quick glance at news in Korean. So Newsuk is a 1-minute short video clip, and reporters simply film news stories and contents in vertical with their own smartphones on site. So the most important selling point is the scene. Journalists have to report on key sites, such as inside the presidential office or inside government buildings or battlefields like in Ukraine and large-scale forest fires, etc. So although YouTubers now are considered as competitors of our journalists, but they can't hardly access to these kind of places, right? And it's also essential to deliver difficult issues in the easiest ways, if possible, as possible as they can. So as if a reporter is doing just video phone call to their friends. So producers and editors then post them to various platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, operated by the JTBC newsroom in real time. For Newsuit to be sustainable, both filming and production must be done with a sense of speed. And the next one is, Next one is New Deep. It's descriptive news content. It was created to contain deep cut that is difficult to digest in 1 minute long clip in Newsuit. Or a TV report. It's too short, right? So even if a journalist covered 100 stories, items, issues, the reality is we just put only 10 of them, right, in short TV reports. So reporters can overcome this kind of challenge through these mid-length videos. At the same time, news consumers can easily access the quality content that contains reporters' in-depth coverage. For New Deep, JTBC set up several single-person-sized small studios like this. So the rooms are equipped with a camera, a smartphone camera, and some lightings and prompter. The reporter can enter this kind of small rooms and anytime they want, and turn on the camera and shoot. It's very simple. So this requires post-production such as editing and putting subtitles, but it is quickly distributed to various platforms just after the minimal work by steps in charge. So the key point of these two types of video content is to make the whole process as simple as possible and as speedy as possible. So let's talk about the leadership. Many outlets, including the JTBC, are focusing on mobile strategies. Each media company is thinking about to supply content constantly and quickly. So it's not enough to expect our members, our journalists, to actively take part in this kind of situation. So maybe this is because the competition is getting fiercer as time goes on, and there are already too many jobs given to one journalist. So how should the newsroom work in this situation? I think we need to change the finish line. In other words, we need to get out of the traditional working structures that runs in one direction, only for the television evening primetime news. There are people who say supplying mobile content is the job for only some of the online journalists. We need to get away from this kind of concept. All reporters must transform into digital reporter. To do this, the top decision maker, editor-in-chief of the newsroom, needs to have empathy with the concept of mobile first. The leader must continuously deliver the message, like do not work only for the evening time prime news, but work for the digital audience. The message is strong, right? And the essence of successful newsroom leadership so far has been quick and accurate judgment and charismatic operation from the newsroom to the field. I won't say it's like a general-like aspect of the battlefield. We cannot deny the fact that it's the symbol of traditional leadership of the newsroom, right? The charismatic, strong, and accurate, quick judgment is the key point to be the traditional newsroom leader. But now things are changing. Being a newsroom leader in digital age has become a tougher position that needs to have more capabilities. The leader should pay attention to the latest trend beyond generation and make decisions against a completely different group, that is the digital audiences. So people in this group are totally different from the traditional news audience, traditional TV news audiences or newspaper subscribers. So yeah, and then what should leadership look like for the new era? Firstly, newsroom leaders in the digital age must have a clear understanding of their digital audiences. I think you also have the kind of analysis department in your newsroom. Currently, each news organization has a unit that analyzes its users through multiple digital indicators. So after receiving that data regularly and based on the analysis, leaders needs to actively respond to the digital audiences, based on this objective data, right? So this is the first step toward becoming a truly digital newsroom that operates based on objective data rather than decision makers' personal taste. So maybe it works on TikTok. Maybe it works. It could be great on YouTube users, but no. We should be judging. We should make judgment on the objective data. And secondly, newsroom leaders must step up to harmonize the organization. The traditional newsroom was the homogeneous group of members, journalists, but now newsroom is precarious mix of multifunctional members, and newsroom is organization where journalists are no longer the core members. For example, it is difficult for me to know what roles and what responsibilities each member has in my newsroom. So, what are you doing? I don't know what he is doing right now with TikTok or so. The leader should focus on the harmonizing to make teamwork better. In addition, the generation gap in the newsroom is becoming more divided. New employees who recently joined our newsroom are not legacy media users, so they've never had the experience of subscribing to newspapers, and they never have a habit of watching the TV daily. They don't know what the JTBC's primetime news is. They just consume they just take a look at the news on the Google or the Twitter or YouTube. But many of the people they work with in the same space still think like this. Our main product is the primetime news. Digital is secondary. So leaders should pay attention to harmonize the people in their newsroom. Ultimately, it is the assignment given to the leader on how to lead the divided members well and how to bring about smooth communication between the members. So I'd like to listen to your case regarding the leadership in your newsroom in this kind of fiercely competitive digital age. Thank you for listening and hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to the discussion session, if any speaker wants to make additional comments on your presentation, please let me know. Ms. Yu Hyun-Chung, is there any additional points you want to make? Please.
Yeah. I just want to ask to our colleague from France 24. So you explained about collaborative journalism, right? Oh, my English. Okay, collaborative. Not only for the journalists, just ordinary people on the web can take part in that kind of debunk process.
So most of the time it's not for fact checking, it's just that by the year anybody can send us images and videos, but as they are not journalists, we're going to verify them. And for some images, mostly of fact checking in Africa, where it spreads a lot on WhatsApp and it's really difficult to fact check. Sometimes the people that are in our network for like ages and we know we can rely on them and who are on the field, they can check stuff. They can check the facts for us directly, or they can have the information that we need or that we need to fact check the image or the video. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Ning Zhou, is there any comments you want to make? Additional comments? No? Miss Michelle? No? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to start a group discussion with the audience on the floor. So if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Please let us know your affiliation and nationality before you speak. After this, we're going to get to the questions we collected in the chat room. Anyone have questions?
Thank you for the speaker and for leading the session. This is Tasneem Amro. I'm from Palestine. I'm a Palestinian journalist. And I have not a question, maybe concerns about the deep fake technology, you know, all these artificial intelligence tools that make the deep fake videos very hard to suspect or to detect actually how to find which is the truth, which is not true videos. So maybe for France 24, I've been in France 24 in 2005, and I met people there. They just establish a new technology and a new apartments for checking the fact checking. Yeah. So how they deal with all that videos coming from all the world with the Observe, the program that called the Observe, yeah? Yeah. So how you check the deep fake videos, for example? Do you have any tools that could help in this case?
Ms. Sunyu, please.
It's a challenge actually. So
Yeah,
I know it's a huge challenge for the audience around the world, not just for media platforms.
Yeah, actually, it's indeed a challenge. I didn't myself fact check a lot of the deepfake videos and photos, but my colleagues did because we actually so it's Info in Talks. I think you're talking about Info in Talks, which is in the Observers, which is our fact checking department. And yes, indeed, deepfake and also AI. Generated images are the big challenge currently, and what we do generally is we just try to track down because deepfake videos most of the time are created by people who published it and says that it's a deepfake. What we do generally we just use tools that like reverse image search, something like this, and also some now for the now on AI images and deepfake videos are easy to recognize also because they don't look natural. But yes, definitely it's worrisome for the future. And also, so in Info Talks we have a lot of pedagogical videos, videos and articles to explain how to fact check videos and photos like this, so you can check it out. And I think it's because the idea is also always in articles to be very pedagogical, to try to help people to have the tools to do the fact check themselves. Sorry, yeah. I hope it replies your question.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Good afternoon. This is Ashok Roy from Oman. Question for the digital pundits over there. You said that there should be a bit of harmony, a lot of harmony, and there should be a lot of cohesion between the journalists as well as the bosses in all the departments in a newspaper organization. Now, at times, we see that reporters on the ground have a lot of different views than what their bosses sitting in the offices have. How do you find that there could be consensus when it comes to digital reporting? Thank you.
So, who you want to ask that question to?
Ms. Anita.
JTBC report?
Gulf News.
Gulf News? Please.
Thank you for the question. My response to that would be there is a fundamental problem in that newsroom. If there is no cohesion, because if your newsroom is based on proper fact checking, double sourcing, and ensuring that all the questions are answered, and that stems right from the top right down to the cub reporter, then this should not be an issue. What you might have is maybe some questions on angles, perspectives, what is sensitive, cultural sensitivity, etc. But that's where the autocratic regime of newsrooms of the past will not work. You have to have a newsroom because we believe on the fundamental principle that we expect everybody else to be accountable. So why should we not, as a newsroom, not be accountable? In fact, this brings to mind something that Gulf News does, is we have something called, we have a very clear ethics policy, which is put up on our website. We have something called Matter of Fact. We have community journalism, where we've been doing for nearly 2 decades exactly what France 24 does through the Observer program. So all of that ensures that the message is very clear. So we treat even a community journalist the exact same way as a reporter, our senior most reporter. So that message is very clear and it's consistent. And I think that's the only answer. Thank you.
Any more questions? If not, let me ask one question to Ms. Senyu. Was there any case where you cannot verify the facts on what's told? You gave us an example of what happened in Eastern Congo, but some places it's difficult to confirm what's told is true.
Yes, so what we will do in this case, so it didn't really happen to me personally, but I know that in the case we can't, I'm not talking about fact-checking, but about like stories like DR Congo, is that we will be very careful and use like conditional, but try to, just deliver what we found out, and try to give more information than possible, but when it's really impossible, like sometimes we receive, I don't know, videos from supposed to be in Mali or showing massacres, and when it's really impossible to prove where it is, who is the actor, we just keep it and try to see if we can find more information later on, and try to. Sometimes it takes a long time to be able to document what's happening, and sometimes we can't just publish a video if we don't have enough information, even though it seems really real and it seems. Awful, like thinking, especially to a video we received from Mali a few weeks ago of a massacre, and it was impossible to track down.
So, any more questions?
Thank you. I already write down my question, but I want to also ask in person. So, do you have any magical formula for harmonizing the newsroom? I mean, in Turkey, in the big media outlet, we have the TV version, the print version, and also the internet version. So, when you have a big story, how you could prioritize the media segment in this story? Do you have such a formula? Thank you.
I would actually love to answer that, but the executive editor of our organization is actually sitting here, so he would be able to answer your question better. So if someone could give him a mic.
No, I think I just tell you straight. I can speak pretty loud. Once we have the story, I mean, I've always believed we've got a lot about journalism and is it AI and stuff. But I think a good story is a good story. Whether you write the story on the bark of a tree or you write it on the internet, if it tells a story, I think it's told. But having said that, we work on long-form projects. So what we do is we'll take one story. Obviously, the internet works differently because we want search engine optimization and everything else. So we'll probably tell the story a little differently from what we do in print, because we do a long form with video, with the graphics and everything else, and maybe even a podcast. But we'll take that same story, and obviously, space constraints for print, we'll sort of probably give the best of that story in a nutshell and take that for print. And then we'll release one for video, just on YouTube, because we post that story on YouTube and a Daily Motion channel. And then there's one on Instagram as well. So we'll take it on the web, because as Anupa said, we are behind a paywall. So that's been 2 years in the making right now. So we'll do that for digital, we'll do that for print, we'll do a YouTube story, we'll do a tweet, obviously we'll tweet the story, and one for Instagram. So that's how we look at it. Is there anything else?
Thank you. Any more questions? We have received some questions in the chat box. So Mr. Murat from Poland has a question for Mr. Lee. So let's hear the question directly from Mr. Murat.
Thank you very much. I have nothing else to ask but what I put on the WhatsApp. I mean, if you say journalists are no longer core members of the newsroom, then who is? Because, ultimately, in whatever form you wish to, TikTok your story, there needs to be a story, or news, or, some kind of ingredients. Somebody needs to be a chef in that news kitchen. There needs to be some meat in it, or whatever you like. So again, what is the, if you like, distribution of power today in your organization? And I would like to hear others say what do they think about the role of journalists in this TikTokish media style. Thank you.
Let me answer in Korean. 코어 멤버를 찾는 그 자체가 어떻게 보면 역할과 역할마다 갈등의 요소가 될 수 있을 거라고 생각합니다. 이 말은 무슨 말이냐면 제가 만약에 틱톡, JTBC 뉴스 컨텐츠의 틱톡 디스트리뷰션을 담당한 사람이라면 내가 중추라고 생각하겠죠. 그런데 여전히 저녁 8시 프라임타임 뉴스를 생산하는 뉴스 PD나 기자의 입장에서는 내가 중추라고 생각할 거고요. 그게 갈등이 될 것인가 아니면은 발전적인 경쟁 관계가 될 것인가는 결국 아까 말씀하신 그 뉴스룸 리더십의 그 하모나이징 하는 그 능력에 달린 거라고 생각합니다. 그런데 뒤집어 보면 아까 말씀하신 대로 우리 걸프 뉴스 다른 그 스태프 멤버께서 말씀하신 게 결국 좋은 스토리가 있으면 뭐 그런 하모나이징이든 뭐 갈등이든 이런 걱정이 없다라는 취지로 말씀하셨는데 그거 같아요. 예를 들어 저희 JTBC가 최근에 한 정치인의 녹음 파일을 입수해서 공개를 했는데요. 그 과정이 있으니까 그 녹음 파일은 정치를 담당하는 기자가 가지고 왔지만 이걸 틱톡에서 어떻게 생산해서 공유할 것인가, 이걸 인스타그램에서 어떻게 생산할 것인가, 그리고 그렇게 생산했지만 또 저녁 8시에는 이걸 또 어떻게 가져갈 것인가 하면서 굉장히 즐거운 갈등을 하고 있었다는 거죠. 즐거운 롤플레잉을 하고 있었던 거죠. 그러니까 각자의 맡은 것마다 좋은 스토리의 그 소스가 오니까 굉장히 즐겁게 하모나이징 되더라 라고 해서 아까 우리 걸프 뉴스 스태프께서 말씀하신 그 지금 핑크셔츠 입으신 분께서 말씀하신 그 결국 좋은 스토리가 굉장히 중요하다라는 게 공감이 굉장히 됐고요. 그래서 우리 지금 폴란드 기자께서 말씀하신 대로 누가 코어 멤버냐 하면 그 누가 코어 멤버냐를 질문하는 것보다는 그 스토리를 가지고 코어 멤버들이 데려오게 즐겁게 경쟁하는 그런 분위기가 되는 것이 가장 아이디얼한 그런 모습이 아닐까 그렇게 생각이 듭니다.
Thank you very much. We have another question about AI journalism from Mr. Gillan Carter from Belgium.
Thank you. One of the things about AI journalism is it makes our lives convenient, but in the context of non-free or state-controlled media landscapes, it's also used to expedite the process of censorship or automatic reporting which fits state lines. So how much of this is a risk? Are we going to see certain governments use this technology for bad, essentially? And what role could AI have in journalism, in censorship of journalism? And the question is to whoever would like to answer. Thank you.
저는 이 AI 시스템을 얼마나 잘 뉴스룸에서 적용하느냐, 그 마인드가 되어 있는 거가 뉴스룸의 어떻게 보면 리스크라고 생각합니다. 보통 지금 이제 뉴스룸의 조직은 팩트를 굉장히 중요시하기 때문에 AI를 이용한 뉴스 제작 시스템에 대한 본질적인 거부감이 있고 잘 알지도 못합니다. 근데 세상은 빠르게 변화하고 있고 이거를 이용해서 수많은 뉴스가 탄생될 텐데 그걸 수용하지 않는 것 자체가 이제 리스크가 될 것 같고, 저는 반대로 AI가 손쉽게 가짜 뉴스나 이런 것들을 만들어낼 수 있기 때문에 전통적인 저널리즘 훈련을 받은 사람들한테는 어마무시한 기회가 될 것이고, 이것을 뉴스룸에서는 굉장히 본질적으로 잘 이해해야 합니다. 잘 이용을 해야 된다고 생각합니다. 그래서 지금 오디언스 입장에서는 시간이 없기 때문에 결과적으로는 꾸준히 믿음을 주고 트러스트를 주는 매체를 몇 군데 골라서 될 건데, 결국 어떤 다양한 뉴스가 나타났을 때 이거는 어디 매체에 가서 물어봐야지 하는 그 브랜드 로열티를 만드는 과정이 굉장히 중요하고, 그렇게 하려고 하면은 그 뉴스룸에서 비본질적인 허드렛 일을 AI를 이용해서 줄여주고, 그러려고 하면은 AI라는 신기술에 대한 오픈 마인드가 돼 있어야 되고, 그러나 최후의 팩트를 체킹하고 그다음에 그거를 신뢰성 있게 내보내는 일은 저널리스트가 할 수 있다는 그 프로세스를 세우는 일이 중요해서 엄청난 기회가 저는 있다고 생각합니다. 리스크란 건 단지 전통적인 뉴스룸에서의 기술에 대한 거부감, 가짜 뉴스라고 치부할 수 있는 그런 어떤 전통적인 마인드라고 생각합니다.
So, Mr. Ning Jo, would you respond to the question as well?
I just add one point. I just add one point with this question. Thank you for the question. In China or in Xinhua News Agency, how to verify the news product from the social media with AI technology or intelligence. The crux of the matter is how to strike a proper balance between the truthfulness and the efficiency. We do prefer the truthfulness first, and then the efficiency. So we have to go deep into the scene, go deep into the position personally, or the correspondent by Xinhua News Agency, rather than just verify or collecting the data from the social media. No. So this is the point we follow. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We have another question about artificial intelligence. Miss Reda from Lithuania.
Yes, hello everyone. So I don't know if you actually knew this latest attempt to use artificial intelligence. It's in the German newspaper, it's in a magazine. We tried to generate the interview of famous Formula One sportsman Michael Schumacher, and in that article they actually told that it's made by artificial intelligence, but the family of that sportsman are still planning to sue the magazine because they think it was an ethical attempt. And I keep thinking how that even happened. Like,
sorry, can I
yeah?
just add to that? But the
Yeah.
editor-in-chief has been sacked.
Sorry?
The editor-in-chief has been sacked.
Yeah, I know. I actually sent that article in our group chat, but I keep thinking how that even happened, and I think that it could happen in the future. For example, if you wanna generate some forms of like if famous, I don't know, dead pop star, it could even be a thing or an actual genre in the future. So how would you deal with this kind of attempt in your newsroom? And what do you think about the future? For example, if the editor of that magazine asked the family of that Michael Schumacher if we can do it, and they said yes. If it is a proper thing to still post it with a permission of the family, if it is like a proper article, yeah.
Ms. Michelle, would you respond to the question?
Yeah, sure. Because the thing is, I remember when I saw the story, it reiterates what I said earlier. You have to have a newsroom that's very clear on why it's doing its journalism. And it has to be a cohesive thought process. I mean, this is just appalling. This person cannot speak, they haven't asked permission, and they've just put up questions like what it might sound like if Michael Schumacher answered your questions. I mean, that's misleading. That's the worst kind of journalism. It's yellow journalism. And if AI and ChatGPT are going to be used for that, then that is a problem. Plagiarism is a problem. And to me, the only solution for that is a clear newsroom journalism in this day and age. I think it's more important than anything. And I know she asked a question as to how do you create that cohesiveness. One of the principles that our newsroom works on is nobody is told no outright. You are actually given an answer as to why you're being told not to do something. And I think that helps.
Mr. Lee, would you respond to the question as well?
I'm not an expert on that kind of AI, but I'd like to introduce a similar example in Korea. Several months ago, we produced some that president of Korea on the election program. 그 대선 개표 방송에 I'm sorry, I will answer in Korean. 대선 개표 방송에 AI로 전직 사망한 대통령들을 다 구현해서 개표 방송에 쓴 적이 있습니다. 그러니까 그것도 이제 뭐 텍스트 기사는 아니지만 사람들이 보기에는 이게 저 사람이 언제 이걸 녹화했지라고 속을 수 있을 정도의 기술력이었거든요. 또는 우리나라가 앞으로 이랬으면 좋겠습니다라고 이미 사망한 대통령들의 음성으로 방송이 나가기도 했습니다. 근데 그거는 사람들이 크게 논란이 되진 않았어요. 왜냐하면 그 앞에 우리는 남은 가족들의 동의를 받아서 이걸 구현했고 지금 이거는 과거의 그 대통령의 발언들과 어떤 역사적 행보를 바탕으로 재구성한 것입니다, 여러분. 하면서 계속 지속적으로 이건 AI로 구현한 것입니다, 여러분이라고 계속 주의를 줬거든요, 시청자들한테. 동의를 얻었습니다, 유족들에게. 그리고 이거는 AI로 구현한 것입니다. 그러니까 지루한 하루 종일 밤새도록 이어지는 그 프로그램 중에 약간 엔터테인 요소로 좀 보시면 되겠습니다 정도의 안내를 충분하게 했거든요. 그래서 크게 논란이 되지 않은 채로 그 AI, 어떻게 보면 딥페이크 수준의 굉장히 정밀한 그 죽은 대통령들을 묘사한 거지만 크게 문제없이 넘어간 적이 있습니다. 그러니까 어느 정도로 그 프리커션을 하느냐가 말씀하신 그 기사도 예를 들어서 슈마허의 가족들에게 동의를 얻었고 이건 슈마허의 그동의 발자취를 뭐 추모하기 위한 좋은 뜻으로 재구성을 한 것입니다. 이것은 페이크이지만 그냥 흥미적으로 한번 읽어보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 피처성 기사로 생산했다면 크게 문제가 되지 않지 않았을까 생각이 듭니다.
그 AI를 슈마우 스토리처럼 스토리를 만드는 그 자체를 페이크로 만들면은 그거는 절 회사의 어떻게 보면 비즈니스 모델을 갉아먹는 거고 회사를 효율적으로 만드는 제작 프로세스에서 우리가 AI를 어떻게 만들 것인가 사용할 것인가를 해야 됩니다. 표 하나 신문사에서 표 하나 만드는 거 자막 하나 쓰는 거 이런 것들이 굉장히 고된 작업이고 그런 것들이 우리가 진짜 팩트 기반의 오리지널을 추구하는 시간을 갉아먹는 행위인데 그런 거에 1차적인 포커스가 되어야 되고 앞으로 엄청나게 많은 페이크 뉴스 세상에서 저희가 둘러싸일 것입니다. 그러니까 밸류 측면에서 봤을 때도 페이크 뉴스로 재밌게 하는 거는 그렇게 독자들에게 감동을 주지 못할 것이고 결과적으로 힘들게 길러 올린 저 매체에서는 정말 진실을 찾을 수 있다는 그 메시지 하나 주는 게 비즈니스적으로도 굉장히 이득이 될 거라고 확신합니다.
So any more questions, please? If we don't have any more questions, then we are going to wrap up the session 2 of the World Journalists Conference 2023. Thank you everyone for sharing your insights and experiences. After a 15-minute break, we will come back with a special session about blockchain technology. Thank you.